The hour of convening having arrived. All members of this house will please report to the floor and take your seats. All members will report to the floor of the house and take your assigned seats. The clerk will ring the bell. All members will please report to their seats. We are about to have the morning roll call. Rules Committee has finished for now, haven't they? Okay. All right, we're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Someone would vote Chairman Heath Clark, please. Thank you, Chairman Oliver. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Got a little rest and relaxation. Welcome to Crossover Day 2021, Day 28. We've got a lot of things to get done today and going to be here a while, so we'll just settle in and have a good time doing it, hopefully. We will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 147th House District, Chairman Heath Clark. Chairman Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, as I was getting ready today, thinking about crossover, how we're going to be here for a while, I thought back to last year, and you know, we were delayed getting started by about an hour or so because meetings were going on, trying to determine what we were going to do with the rest of session, and little did we know what lied ahead for our state at that point. So it's my honor today to introduce Reverend Dr. Darrell Vining. He's the pastor of Hebron Fellowship Baptist Church in Byron. He's been married to his wife Deanna for 26 years. This month they're celebrating their 26th anniversary. They have 3 children, Victoria, Darrell Jr., and Alexandria, and she's actually has served as an intern for Chairman Shaw Blackman for a few years, so she's familiar with this place and been working and involved in serving her community in that way. So Pastor Vining, he's a product of Detroit Public Schools in Michigan. He graduated from Cass Technical High School, then went on to Michigan State University. So he's a Spartan at heart, and you can see him around town wearing that hat. It doesn't really fit in with all the Georgia gear, but he went on to Georgia Bible College and the Minnesota Graduate School of Theology. He's been a resident of Georgia since 1990, and he started the church that he's currently pastor of in 2005. So he has been an anchor in our community, especially over the last year. It's been an honor to have many discussions with him about all the issues going on in our communities. He has served as the first African American to be elected as the associational moderator for the Rehoboth Baptist Association in Middle Georgia. In its 185-year history, he's the first African American to serve in that role. So he has a personal mission to assist others to fulfill the call that is on their life, training up others who are willing to lead by example and by word. My pleasure to introduce to you Pastor Vining.
Thank you, Representative Clark. Mr. Speaker, to all the honored guests and all who have joined us at this time, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be with you today. I would like to share with you a passage of scripture from Luke chapter 10. It reads thusly, "And a certain lawyer, an expert in Mosaic law, stood up to test him, saying, 'Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?' Jesus said to him, 'What is written in the law? How do you read it?' And he replied, 'You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself.'" It's interesting in this story that after a question has been raised by a legal scholar, a lawyer, if you will, he wants to know about his personal inheritance while testing the knowledge of the teacher, Jesus, in this circumstance. The question he raises refers to how can I identify or know who my neighbor is. Here we are introduced to some characters that we can all relate to, my friends. Jesus begins to tell the story, a parable of a good Samaritan. And we meet a person with a problem, a few causing a problem, a few folks avoiding a problem, and one willing to solve the problem. And finally, someone who has the means to help with fixing the problem. Each day we live, we choose which of these people we will be. The robber or the robbed, the first passerby who's the responsible one, the second passerby who is the religious one, the third passerby who happens to be the right one with a willingness to do what needs to be done regardless of personal inconvenience. Or we can be the innkeeper who shelters and gives rest to many from danger and toil in this world. As a result, we learn about four things: power, position, privilege, and people. What we learn about power is how it can be maximized. Whether we are to help or to harm, how we use power will determine this. We measure power in many ways: intellectually, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually. It's even been said that there is nothing more powerful than our ideals or our beliefs. In fact, each character in this example have helped convince me that this is still true, that there is nothing more powerful than our beliefs. Secondly, the positions that we choose to take directly impact the application of what our beliefs are. Even the understanding of what others say we believe, the person we are and who we will be, remember to have been, will be clearly seen by what we do with the positions that we've chosen to occupy. Thirdly, no matter what position we're in, we have a great privilege, an amazing privilege, one that allows us in our representative form of government to execute power of our beliefs, to make something happen, to lift up the ideals that have made this democracy work despite the challenges of the roles we have taken each day. You see, no matter what the power is, what the position, or what the privilege is, our greatest resource and asset for our ideas that carry us from generation to generation has been and will always be the people. The people of this great state and this great nation who awaken every morning prepared to fulfill the role they are to play for this given day. So fret not, be encouraged. What you do today is reflective of those beliefs that there is nothing higher than the power of our ideas. There is nothing more important than the position you represent. There is nothing more impactful than the privilege that you have to execute the powers of government. That is, as Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, and for the people. Amen? Now would you stand and join me for a word of prayer? Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this moment that will be etched in the annals of time. You've been kind and gracious to us that we stand here in humble adoration to carry out the sacred trust of governance. Bless us this day to be bold practitioners of the powers you have extended in the positions you have placed us as we exercise the privilege to be the voice for the people that each has been sent to represent. This and all of the blessings that you desire to bestow, let them be done to him who will be able to receive us, and for the glory of the one who sent him. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let us now turn for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. The chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal of the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And furthermore, Mr. Speaker, worried about dying, you'll live forever. All you have to do is worry about location, location, location.
Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, on number 59th moves following establishes the order of business during the first part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 723 by Representative Davis, the 87th, Mitchell, the 88th, Bodie, the 62nd. Jackson the 64th, Evans the 83rd, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to selling and other practices.
Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications.
House Bill 724 by Representative Allen of the 40th and Ullowitz of the 42nd, Reeves of the 34th, Wilkerson of the 38th, Bruce of the 61st, and others. Bill being titled Act to amend and Act creating the Board of Commissioners of Cobb County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 725 by Representative Lim of the 99th, Lopez of the 86th, and Maynard of the 56th. Bill be titled an Act to amend Code Section 44-12-280, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Council on American Indians Concerns.
State Planning and Community Affairs.
House Bill 726 by Representative Scoggins of the 14th, Workheiser of the 157th, Chokus of the 138th, Rhodes of the 120th, Green of the 151st, and others. Bill be titled an Act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elections and primaries generally.
Special Committee on Election Integrity.
House Bill 727 by Representative Cannon, the 58th, Beverly, the 143rd, Fry, the 118th, Mitchell, the 106th, Lim of the 99th, and others. Bill be titled an Act to amend Article 7, Chapter 4, Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to medical assistance generally.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 728 by Representative McLeod of the 105th, Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 60th, Lim of the 99th, Davis of the 87th, and others. Bill be titled an Act to amend Title 42 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to penal institutions.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 729 by Representative Chokus of the 138th and Jaspers of the 11th. Bill being titled an Act to amend Part 3 of Article 7, Chapter 3 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Georgia Student Finance Authority.
Higher Education.
House Bill 730 by Representative Carpenter the 4th, Tarver the 2nd, Ridley the 6th. Bill be titled an Act to create and establish the Whitfield County Public Facilities Authority.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 731 by Representative Collins the 68th, Hogan of the 179th, and Green of the 151st. Bill be titled an Act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to regulation and construction.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 732 by Representative Dreyer of the 59th, Holland of the 54th, Cannon of the 58th, Roberts of the 52nd, and Wen of the 89th. Bill be titled an Act to amend and Act provide a homestead exemption from the City of Atlanta Independent School District.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 733 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Gamble of the 15th, Williams of the 148th. Bill be titled an Act to amend Code Section 3363(3) of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to definitions regarding guaranteed asset protection waivers.
Insurance.
House Bill 734 by Representative Gamble of the 15th and Kelly the 16th. Bill being titled an Act to amend an Act to provide a new charter for the City of Uwharrie.
Intergovernmental
House
Coordination.
Bill 735 by Representative Paris, the 142nd, Smiley, 135th, Holcomb of the 81st, Wilson of the 80th, and Evans of the 83rd. Bill be titled an Act to amend Code Section 22-742, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to multi-tiered system.
Education.
House Bill 736 by Representative Barr, the 103rd, Watson, the 172nd, Hill of the 3rd, Smith of the 70th, Wiedauer, the 119th, and others. Bill be titled an Act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to public officers and employees.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 737 by Representative Gunner of the 8th, Leverett of the 33rd, Reeves of the 34th, and Smith of the 18th. Bill being titled an Act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding courts.
Judiciary.
House Resolution 317 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Jones of the 47th, Knight of the 130th, Jaspers of the 11th, and Dubnik of the 29th. A resolution recognizing the need for the University System of Georgia.
Higher Education.
House Resolution 318 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, and Smiley, 135th. A resolution recognizing and commending SK Innovations.
Economic Development and Tourism.
House Resolution 319 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Smith of the 70th, Smith of the 133rd, Washburn of the 141st, and Hogan of the 179th. A resolution creating a House Study Committee on Landfills.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Resolution 337 by Representative Jones of the 47th, Jaspers of the 11th, Dubnik of the 29th, Glanton of the 75th, Gamble of the 15th, and others. A resolution urging the State Board of Education.
Education.
Senate Bill 75 by Senator Jackson the 41st, Strickland of the 17th, Parent of the 42nd, Kirkpatrick the 32nd, Merritt of the 9th, and others. Bill being titled an Act to amend Code Section 44-723, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to termination of residential lease.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 78 by Senator Jones, the 22nd, Anderson, the 43rd, Harrell of the 40th, Parent of the 42nd, Butler, the 55th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 3, Chapter 11, and Title 16, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to the invasion of privacy.
Judiciary non-civil.
Senate Bill 92 by Senator Robertson, the 29th, Anderson, the 24th, Albers, the 56th, Mullis of the 53rd, and Payne of the 54th. The bill being titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 13, Title 16, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to schedules.
Judiciary non-civil.
Senate Bill 142 by Senator Mullis, the 53rd, Miller to the 49th, Jones to the 22nd, Albers the 56th, Parent to the 42nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 27 and Title 50, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to lottery for education.
Economic development and tourism.
Senate Bill 145 by Senator Brass, the 28th, Miller the 49th, Watson the 1st, Gooch the 51st, Jones the 25th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 4, Title 3, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to local authorization.
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 152 by Senator Robertson, the 29th, Dugan the 30th, Miller the 49th, Gooch the 51st, Kennedy the 18th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1, Chapter 3, Title 50, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to state flag and other flags.
Governmental affairs.
Senate Bill 153 by Senator Donizell, the 27th, and Tillery the 19th. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 20, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to education.
Education.
Senate Bill 163 by Senator Strickland, the 17th, Kennedy the 18th, Hatcher the 50th, Jones the 22nd, Retta the 33rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 3, Chapter 3, Title 38, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to judicial emergency.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 165 by Senator Gooch, the 51st, Kirkpatrick the 32nd, Beach the 21st, Miller the 49th, Ginn of the 47th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 40, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to equipment and inspection.
Motor vehicles.
Senate Bill 200 by Senator Anti-Bds of the 31st, Miller of the 49th, Dugan of the 30th, Jackson of the 2nd, Mullis of the 53rd, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3, Chapter 3 of Title 38, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to emergency powers.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 210 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, Miller of the 49th, Payne of the 54th, Kirkpatrick the 32nd, Brass the 28th. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 40, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to motor vehicles and traffic.
Motor vehicles.
Senate Bill 219 by Senator Ginn of the 47th, Albers the 56th, Mullis the 53rd, Parent of the 42nd, Anti-Bds the 31st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 3 of the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to alcoholic beverages.
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 220 by Senator Payne of the 54th, Anti-Bds of the 31st, Mullis the 53rd, Summers of the 13th, Dugan of the 30th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 14, Title 20, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to education.
Education.
Senate Bill 236 by Senator Brass, the 28th, Jones, the 25th, Miller, the 49th, Robertson of the 29th, Beach, the 21st, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 3, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to alcoholic beverages.
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 246 by Senator Brass, the 28th, Albers, the 56th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Payne of the 54th, Anti-Bds of the 31st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 22690, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to educational entities.
Education.
Senate Bill 255 by Senator Mullis, the 53rd, Gooch of the 51st, Miller of the 49th, Dugan of the 30th, Ginn of the 47th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 34, Title 50, the official code of Georgia and Teddy relating to One Georgia Authority Act.
Economic development and tourism.
Senate Resolution 39 by Senator Dixon of the 45th, Gooch of the 51st, Beach the 21st, Miller of the 49th, Thompson the 14th, and others. A resolution honoring the Honorable Charlotte Nash.
Transportation.
Senate Resolution 84 by Senator Harper the 7th, Kennedy the 18th, Ginn of the 47th, Mullis the 53rd, Jones the 25th, and others. A resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on Airport Infrastructure.
Transportation.
Senate Resolution 135 by Senator Mullis the 53rd, Cowser to the 46th, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution.
Economic development and tourism.
Senate Resolution 143 by Senator Harper to the 16th, Cowser to the 46th, Hickman to the 4th, Summers the 13th, Anti-Bds to the 31st, and others. A resolution appointing the honorary position of Georgia General Assembly Chaplain.
Rules.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 703 by Representative Mathis of the 144th, a bill to provide that future elections for the office of probate judge of Bleckley County shall be nonpartisan elections. House Bill 704 by Representative Mathis of the 144th, a bill to provide that future elections for the office of chief judge of the magistrate court of Bleckley County shall be nonpartisan elections. House Bill 705 by Representative Mathis of the 144th, a bill to authorize the probate court of Bleckley County to charge a technology fee. House Bill 706 by Representative Camp of the 131st, Rich of the 97th, and Mathiak of the 73rd, a bill relating to petition for appointment of guardian and requirements for petition. House Bill 707 by Representative Watson of the 172nd, Taylor of the 173rd, LaHood of the 175th, and Campbell of the 171st, a bill to provide a new charter for the city of Coolidge. House Bill 708 by Representative Dreyer of the 59th and Schofield of the 60th, a bill to create the City of Hapeville Public Facilities Authority. House Bill 709 by Representative Laricchia of the 169th, Burchett of the 176th, Corbett of the 174th, Perkel of the 155th, and Meeks of the 178th, a bill to amend an act providing that the governing authority of each county comprising the Waycross Judicial Circuit may supplement the compensation, salary, expenses, and allowances of each judge of the Superior Court of the Waycross Judicial Circuit. House Bill 710 by Representative Kennard of the 102nd, Clark of the 108th, Park of the 101st, Mitchell of the 106th, Moore of the 95th, and others, a bill relating to elementary and secondary education. House Bill 711 by Representative Yerta of the 152nd, a bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Sylvester. House Bill 715 by Representative Hogan of the 179th, Deloach of the 167th, Dollar of the 45th, Mathis of the 144th, Williams of the 148th, and others, a bill relating to equipment and inspection of motor vehicles. House Bill 716 by Representative Jackson of the 64th, Beverly of the 143rd, Bodie of the 62nd, Dreyer of the 59th, Mitchell of the 88th, a bill relating to domestic terrorism. House Bill 717 by Representative Cooper of the 43rd, Hitchens of the 161st, Lumsden of the 12th, Dempsey of the 13th, a bill relating to examination and treatment for mental illness. House Bill 718 by Representative Smyrie of the 135th, Smith of the 133rd, Hughley of the 136th, Buckner of the 137th, a bill relating to imposition rate computation and exemptions from state income tax. House Bill 719 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill relating to required findings, amount of award, rejection of claim, reductions, exemptions, effective date for awards, psychological counseling for relatives of deceased, and memorials for victims of DUI homicide. House Bill 720 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 60th, McLeod of the 105th, Burnell of the 77th, and others, a bill relating to the Division of Forensic Sciences. House Bill 721 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 60th, Scott of the 76th, McLeod of the 105th, Burnell of the 77th, and others, a bill relating to insurance. House Bill 722 by Representative Cannon of the 58th, Beverly of the 143rd, Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 60th, Thomas of the 39th, a bill relating to the Department of Public Health. House Resolution 283 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, resolution recognizing American Legion Post 109, dedicating an intersection in their honor. House Resolution 284 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, resolution recognizing Judge Donald Hoppy Royston, dedicating a road in his honor. House Resolution 285 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, resolution recognizing United States military veterans, dedicating a highway in their honor. House Resolution 286 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, a resolution honoring the lives of Dr. Tom and Jean Boswell, dedicating a road in their memory. House Resolution 316 by Representative Davis of the 87th, a resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution so as to waive the state's defense of sovereign immunity regarding actions of the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia. Senate Bill 42 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd, Gooch of the 51st, Harbison of the 15th, Payne of the 54th, Miller of the 49th, and others, a bill relating to indicators of quality and learning in individual schools and school systems. Senate Bill 47 by Senator Gooch of the 51st, Miller of the 49th, Duggan of the 30th, Kennedy of the 18th, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, and others, a bill relating to Georgia Special Needs Scholarship Act. Senate Bill 59 by Senator Albers of the 56th, Payne of the 54th, Miller of the 49th, Gooch of the 51st, Hufstetler of the 52nd, and others, a bill relating to elementary and secondary education. Senate Bill 66 by Senator Anavarte of the 31st, Payne of the 54th, Mullis of the 53rd, Cowsert of the 46th, Strickland of the 17th, and others, a bill relating to education, revenue, and taxation. Senate Bill 95 by Senator Ginn of the 47th, Beach of the 21st, Albers of the 56th, Anavarte of the 31st, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, and others, a bill relating to state government. Senate Bill 107 by Senator Strickland of the 17th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Duggan of the 30th, Miller of the 49th, Anderson of the 43rd, a bill relating to post-secondary education grants for foster and adopted children. Senate Bill 113 by Senator Harbin of the 16th, Burke of the 11th, Thompson of the 14th, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Summers of the 13th, and others. A bill relating to life insurance. Senate Bill 117 by Senator Miller of the 49th, Cowsert of the 46th, and Avacharte of the 31st, Payne of the 54th, Kennedy of the 18th, and others. A bill relating to sexual offenses. Senate Bill 168 by Senator Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Strickland of the 17th, Butler of the 55th, Miller of the 49th, Barrett of the 42nd, and others. A bill relating to meetings. Senate Bill 182 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, Albers of the 56th, Payne of the 54th, Harper of the 7th, Anderson of the 24th, a bill relating to general provisions applicable to counties and municipal corporations. Senate Bill 183 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, and Avacharte of the 31st, Payne of the 54th, Brass of the 28th, and Anderson of the 24th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding sheriffs. Senate Bill 187 by Senator Tippins of the 37th, Miller of the 49th, Jackson of the 2nd, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Butler of the 55th, a bill relating to eligibility requirements for a Hope Scholarship. Senate Bill 195 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd, a bill relating to definitions regarding hemp farming. Senate Bill 204 by Senator Tippins of the 37th, Sims of the 12th, Miller of the 49th, Butler of the 55th, Duggan of the 30th, and others. A bill relating to vocational, technical, and adult education. Senate Bill 222 by Senator Summers of the 13th, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Sims of the 12th, Harper of the 7th, Goodman of the 8th, and others. A bill relating to state symbols. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Jan Takas, the 160th District Chairman on Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local is that under consideration the following bills of the House and the Senate is instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendations: House Bill 680 do pass, Senate Bill 22 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jan Taggart, the 160th District Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
All right, we're going on now to the local calendar. We're going on to the local calendar. House will come to order. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 680 by Representative Green of the 151st, Stewart County. Senate Bill 22 by House substitute by Senator Jones of the 10th, Henry County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. The ayes are 157, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. What purpose did Representative Douglas rise? Well, he's not up there. All right, we're going on now to morning orders. Going on to morning orders. If you signed up for a morning order, be standing by. We're going to do 10 minutes and then turn the mic off. Chair recognizes the chair of the House Appropriations Committee, Chairman England, for a morning order.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, we got a lot of stuff that goes on around this house and a lot of good things that happen and a lot of good people that get recognized from time to time out of our body. And I think that it's certainly fitting every once in a while to make sure that everybody knows that one of our own has done good. And John Burns, the majority leader, was recognized by Georgia Southern University this last Friday night as the Alumnus of the Year. And so just wanted to come say congratulations.
Chair recognizes Representative Hutchinson for a morning order.
Good morning, colleagues. This morning I bring to you 12-year-old Lyric. Lyric is described as a smart, sweet, and creative kid who enjoys playing outside, jumping on his trampoline, and helping others. He loves spending time with his friends, helping in the garden. He loves to watch and play basketball, and his favorite team is the Georgia Bulldogs. Hopefully Lyric can help me in my garden because I need a lot of help. But Lyric is one of many, many beautiful children that are available for adoption today in Georgia. Thank you, and I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Schofield for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In honor of the International Women's Month, I'd like to honor all women who stand to create a respectable and open world for natural hair.
Come on, women.
Have you got natural hair and proud. The Crown Act.
We're going to dispense with a social distancing requirement around the podium right now. Lady may proceed. Chair recognizes Chairman Dave Belton for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to celebrate the Georgia Tech Aerospace Engineering. Georgia Tech is the largest aerospace engineering program in America, with over 15% of the doctorates in the entire nation being done there. Georgia Tech is an elite aerospace engineering program, ranked first or second in 5 different journals. And that's very great because aerospace is critical to Georgia's economy. We have over 800 aerospace companies in the state with 108,000 jobs. It's a $57 billion economic impact per year, and it's the top export of Georgia since 2004. Aerospace is fundamentally changing society, especially here in Georgia. Got Caleb Anderson, a young Georgia Marietta man, 12-year-old aerospace engineer, a sophomore at Georgia Tech, who dreams of flying cars and living on the moon. I don't care to fly rambling wrecks. However, I do appreciate the magnificent men who design these flying machines and the aerospace engineers of Georgia Tech.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, which March 7th, which marked the 56th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, the day 600 people, including the late John Lewis and the late Hosea Williams, and many other civil rights leaders and champions, attempted to march from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama, in the name of voting rights. On that day, state troopers violently attacked the peaceful demonstrators as they crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Shortly after this fateful day, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was introduced and eventually signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson. Today is crossover day. And in this building, there are many bills that will strip away access to voting. As they prepare to cross over from this chamber to the Senate and from the Senate to here, let us remember the 600 peaceful demonstrators that crossed over that bridge that day and were bloodied and bruised in the fight for the right to participate in our democracy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Kim Alexander for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Women Caucus, today we celebrate International Women's Day, which is United Nations sanctioned global holiday. It started in America in 1909 and celebrates women's contributions to society, raises awareness about the fight for gender parity, and inspires support for organizations that help women globally. Colleagues, please rise and help me recognize International Women's Day with all these beautiful women. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute.
What purpose does Chairman Ron Stevens rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill 86 move back to the Rules Committee.
Chairman Stevens moves that House Bill 86 be recommitted to the Rules Committee. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 86 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, to be titled an act to amend chapters 27 and title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to lottery for education.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 86 be recommitted to the Rules Committee, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it's back in the Rules Committee. Okay, we're going on to the rules calendar. There are a lot of measures on the rules calendar, and this may not be the only rules calendar that you see today. Chair recognizes, or the clerk will read the caption to House Bill 114.
House Bill 114 by Representative Reeves, the 34th, to be entitled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 7, entitled 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating the imposition rate, computation, and exemptions from state income taxes. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Reeves to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is yet another one of the measures that we passed unanimously last year that we held back on after the COVID break. But this bill simply triples the tax credit for families that adopt foster kids, and it triples it from $2,000 to $6,000. When a family adopts a foster child, then they do not receive as much support from the state as they do when that child is in the state's custody. And oftentimes those are children that have some very serious needs. They've suffered extraordinary trauma. And this is a measure that can help offset some of that cost. It was unanimously passed last year, and I ask you to join me again this year. I will yield for questions.
Did you yield for questions?
I did, Mr. Speaker.
You do not have any.
Yield to well, thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 114. The ayes are 158, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. What purpose does Representative Douglas rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
I would like to Senate Bill 22 to be immediately transferred to the Senate.
Representative Douglas has moved that Senate Bill 22, which was on the local calendar today, be immediately transmitted back to the Senate. Is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it's back on its way to the Senate. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 498.
House Bill 498 by Representative Watson, 172nd, and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 48, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to property tax exemptions, so as to expand an exemption for agricultural equipment. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Watson to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of this House, I do bring before you HB 498. And basically what we're doing here is we're modifying the definition of farm family to allow for farmers that are unrelated to come together and form an entity and still have the same exemption that independently they already have. And basically the reason for this is as agriculture has continued to evolve, equipment costs more and more. It's very capital intensive, and we're finding out that a lot of younger farmers and older farmers are partnered together, but they may not be related. And so current law does not allow for an exemption on equipment, livestock, and things that they have on their farm. So we're just making that where they can still have the same exemption that they currently have, and that's what the bill does. It is a referendum, so the voters of Georgia will have to decide on this. And Mr. Speaker, I'd be glad to take any questions if there are any. If not, I yield to will.
You have a question if you care to yield.
Yes, sir, I will.
Chair recognizes Representative LaRicchia to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman yield.
Yes, sir, I do.
Is it not true that in that illustration you used with the older farmer and the younger farmer, they both are currently exempt? They're just joining together in a partnership.
That is correct.
Thank you.
And we've done a similar measure with land in our state and conservation use for the same reason. So that's why we're doing it with the other stuff as well. Mr. Speaker, if there's no other questions, I'll yield away. I know we got a busy day.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 498, the ayes are 169, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 582.
House Bill 582 by Representative Ballinger, the 23rd, to be entitled an act to provide that future elections for the office of probate judge of Cherokee County shall be nonpartisan elections. This bill having referred to the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Ballinger to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 582 is really simple. Best practices state that our judges should be nonpartisan. This makes our probate court judge in Cherokee County nonpartisan. I'll be happy to, in elections moving forward, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You do not have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 582. The ayes are 119. The nays are 46. This bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 676.
House Bill 676 by Representative Houston to the 170th and others to be entitled an act to amend Title II of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to agriculture so as to create the Georgia Farmers Market and Produce Terminal Development Authority. This bill having referred to Agriculture and Consumer Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
He's giving you good instruction. Chair recognizes Chairman Houston to present the bill.
Thank you. I had this bill last year and we passed it out, and it got, because of COVID, we didn't get it passed in the Senate. And this legislation creates the Georgia Farmers Market Produce and Terminal Development Authority. It's very similar to the authority that we have that runs the fairgrounds in Perry. Two of the changes that are different in the bill is the name, and we put terminal, we changed the name because it's also a farmer's market and it's also a terminal. And if you've ever visited the farmer's market in Atlanta, you will see all those 18-wheelers coming in and see that it is really a terminal. And we added a legislative oversight committee to this, and one person will be appointed by the Speaker, and one person will be appointed by the Senate to serve on the board. It's an oversight committee of this. If I have any questions, I'll be glad to ask them. If there are no questions, I'd ask for your support, and I yield the will.
There are no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 676. The ayes are 166, the nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 567.
House Bill 567 by Representative Cooper, the 43rd, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to the control of hazardous conditions, preventable disease, and metabolic disorders. This bill having referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Cooper to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring you the House and Health Committee substitute to House Bill 567. The federal government, the HHS Department of the Federal Government, has a special committee that studies all sorts of diseases that affect newborns, especially now as we know much more about genetics. And they make a recommendation to the states on which of these genetic disorders they think will benefit an infant if they are screened early. Screening early prevents lifelong disabilities or even death. Currently, we screen for about 36 diseases, and 400 babies in our state each year benefit from these early screenings, because many of them, if you get the early screening, the disease is found. There are ways to prevent the debilitating or deadly problems that the disease incurs. We really lag behind. In 2015, this committee recommended that we add 2 more screenings to our list, and in 2013, they recommended we add another one, and nothing has been done to date. This will speed up their process. There is already a newborn screening advisory committee in rules here in the state. This would codify it into law. That committee would meet within a year of the recommendations from the Fed. They would make a recommendation to the Commissioner of Public Health whether we should add that illness for screening or not. And as soon as the Commissioner got that recommendation, she would ask OPB to see how much it would cost and make that recommendation to the legislature. If the legislature pays for the screening, that within 18 months, that would be up, and we would be screening for the disease that had been recommended. I ask for your favorable consideration for this bill, and if there are no questions, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well.
You have a couple of questions if you care to yield.
Yes, sir, I'll take one or two.
Chair recognizes Representative Anulowicz to your left for a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it not true that many parents in Georgia, myself included in the past, have actually sent samples of our newborns, data to be screened in other states that actually have more things that they screen for than the state of Georgia has in the past?
Representative, I was not aware of that, but as I can see why a concerned parent might do that. I'll take one more, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Cannon to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you yield?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. How long is a child considered a newborn? How many months?
No, they do this screen. As far as I understand, this is a screening that is done in the hospital. With many of these conditions, just even waiting a few days, a few weeks can cause damage.
Okay, do you yield for a further question?
Yes, Representative.
So to clarify, you're saying this is a test that happens immediately upon birth?
Well, not immediately, but while they're still in the hospital, it's my understanding.
Okay, I was trying to get some clarity on
Okay.
when this happens. Not sure that we got that clarity.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
No further questions.
Okay, I'll yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 567. The ayes are 166, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 173.
House Bill 173 by Representative Benton of the 31st to be entitled Act to amend Code Section 47-2087 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to eligible large retirement systems authorized to invest in certain alternative investments. This bill having referred to the Committee on Retirement. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative Benton to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 173 is a retirement bill. It contains two parts. The first part provides that ERS retirees get some input into the selection of two board members that sit on the ERS board. These two are elected by the board. It does not mandate that the board accept those recommendations, but it gives the ERS retirees some input into a board member selection on those two. The second part is a part that passed House last year and got caught up in the Senate. It allows a 10% allocation for any large retirement system to invest in alternative investments. Large retirement systems are defined as any retirement system with an accumulated unfunded actuarial liability of less than 25%. Georgia Municipal Association, any pool benefit, any retirement system with more than $50 million in assets and an accumulated unfunded actuarial liability of less than 25%, or any retirement system with more than $200 million in assets. There are two exemptions to the retirement systems that are being placed into this. One is TRS, which was just raised to 5% last year, and ERS, which is already at 5, asked to stay at 5 for a while. We have some systems in the state of Georgia that are asking for this type of legislation. Some of those are the Gwinnett County School Pension, the City of Atlanta, their General Retirement Fund, the City of Atlanta, their Fireman's Fund, the City of Atlanta, their Police Fund, MARTA, the Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund, the City of Savannah, and the Ports Authority. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well if there are no questions.
You do not have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 173. The ayes are 171, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 247.
House Bill 247 by Representative Carson of the 46th to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 6 and Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to uniform rules of the road so as to provide for penalties for the commission of an offense of distracted driving. This bill having referred to the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Carson to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 247, folks. 3 years ago, we passed a hands-free law here in Georgia, and I'm happy to report, maybe some of you saw the press release, that since that time, from 2016, before the law, and us talking about it in study committee, and all the way to 2019, fatalities in total, traffic crash fatalities went down 4.5%. And if you consider population growth and traffic growth, they actually went down 12%. So it's a good storyline. What this bill does is removes the first-time offense waiver. That was a compromise that we made in the process. This was initially done to allow the public time to get used to the law. This was modeled after one other state up in the New England area, and that state has since repealed its waiver statute. As of November 2018, just about 5 months after our hands-free law went into effect, the hands-free law here in Georgia had a 99% awareness among Georgia drivers, but the waiver is unenforceable. So if I get pulled over in Cobb County and I drive down to Chatham County, those two court systems don't talk to each other in regard to those waivers. In addition, this does keep the fines level, but no increases in the fines whatsoever, 50, 100, 150. This is endorsed and supported by the sheriffs, the chiefs of police, the insurance industry, American Property Casualty Insurance Association, the Georgia Association of Solicitors. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll take a question, and if there's no questions, I will yield the will.
There are no questions.
I yield the will and ask for your favorable.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 247. The ayes are 119, the nays are 52. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 282.
House Resolution 282 by Representative Gunner the 8th and Ralston the 7th. A resolution honoring the life and memory of Miss Sidney Grace Jones and dedicating an intersection in her memory. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Transportation, that committee recommends that this resolution be adopted.
Chair recognizes Representative Gunter to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Sidney Grace Jones was a young lady up in the North Georgia mountains. She was a student, recent graduate of Fannin County High School, very active in her church, active in sports. She was just the all-American young lady that, you know, if you had a daughter, you would hope that she would be that way. She was tragically killed in Union County at the intersection of 325 and 515. Since that time, her family has been working to make this intersection a safer intersection for everyone to travel through, and I'm asking in honor of her that this intersection be named after Sidney Grace Jones, and would ask for your support. Thank you.
You have no questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Resolution 282. The ayes are 169, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 611.
House Bill 611 by Representative Laricchio of the 169th and others, to be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to small business assistance, so as to change the definition of small business. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Small Business Development, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the Small Business Development Committee, Chairman Chokus, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring before you House Bill 611. This takes the definition of small business under Title 50 and subdivides it into 3 tiers. Currently, small business is defined as 300 or fewer employees or $30 million or less in annual receipts. The subdivision under HB 611 will be Tier 1 is 10 or fewer employees or $1 million or less in annual receipts. Tier 2, 100 or fewer employees with $10 million or less in annual receipts. And Tier 3, the current level, 300 or fewer employees and $30 million in annual receipts. There was no opposition to this legislation, and this measure has no fiscal impact to the state. HB 611 will enable the state of Georgia to more precisely focus state procurement dollars and offer other incentives to enhance job creation in our small business community. And Mr. Speaker, that's it for the bill. I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
You have a question if you care to yield.
Yes, sir, I'll be happy to yield.
Chair recognizes Representative McLaurin to your left up in the gallery.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Just for clarity's sake, Representative, I guess I'm having a hard time understanding. So this statute would create these 3 new tiers, but those tiers would not appear anywhere else in code. It would just be for the purpose of administrative granting of dollars, is that right?
Yeah, this tier is under Title 50, and it's to enhance the state's ability to focus its procurement dollars towards small business.
Will the gentleman further yield?
Yes, sir.
So is the idea that the administration would promulgate its own regulations for how to treat each tier differently?
Well, it depends. It depends on what's going to happen in the future. There's nothing currently happening right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I ask
There are no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will and ask for your favorable consideration.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 611. The ayes are 169, the nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 619.
House Bill 619 by Representative Houston in the 170th to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 3, Chapter 3, Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Heritage Trust Program so as to authorize the sale of Patrick's Fishing Paradise to a private entity. This bill then referred to the Committee on State Properties. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Houston to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This House Bill 619 was brought to me by the Department of Natural Resources because it regards Patrick Fishing Paradise that's located in Berrien County that I represent. Patrick Fishing Paradise is made up of approximately 900 acres, and it is a fishing operation. And we're talking about 8.6 acres that located on the opposite side of an abandoned railroad track that was abandoned by the Seaboard Coastal Railroad. And they have no use for this property. It is not, this Patrick Fishing Paradise is not involved in wildlife management, only in fishing. And they would like the opportunity to either lease this land or sell this land. And it follows the railroad. I think it's, at one point, it's maybe 100 feet wide at one area, and it's on the other side of this. And in order to do this, we it's in a heritage trust, so we've got to take this 8 acres out, and you will find the legal description in the bill of this 8 acres, so it will not open it up for anybody else to disturb their heritage trust because of this bill. It simply involves this 8.6 acres. And first of all, if you pass this bill in the Senate and the governor signs it, the DNR would have to decide, their board decide whether they wanted to lease it or sell it. And if they leased or sold it, it would have to go out for bids. If I have any questions, I would gladly yield the will.
You have no questions.
Thank you, and please vote yes. I yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 619. The ayes are 174, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 697.
House Bill 697 by Representative Newton of the 123rd to be entitled an Act to amend Article 12 of Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to health care data collection so as to require hospitals to participate in a survey disclosing whether such hospitals maintain technology allowing electronic sharing. This bill having referred to the Special Committee on Quality Health Care. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the Committee on Access to Quality Health Care, Chairman Newton, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I know electronic health records at hospitals is not a very exciting topic at times, but when we're healthy, we don't think about it much. But if you've had a family member or an illness yourself, you know how complicated that illness can be. It can involve an emergency department visit, maybe followed by a short hospitalization, maybe referrals to several specialists, then maybe back to another hospital system for specialized procedures or care. It's just a complex thing if you've walked through it with a family member or a loved one. Electronic health records have been augmented by taxpayers to the tune of billions of dollars over the last 15 years for hospitals, providers to gain needed access to maintain confidential, HIPAA-compliant coordination of data, to speed needed care, and also to allow for a minimization of unnecessary duplication. Unfortunately, some proprietary systems, if those healthcare providers work for different systems, there are some systems that restrict the availability of that information to other health systems, forcing the patient to go to these multiple different areas to gather the information themselves. That's hard enough when you're healthy or have someone with you, but if you're ill and having a tough time, it can be incredibly difficult. It can delay care, cause unneeded breaks in appointments. House Bill 697 doesn't solve that. I got to tell you that. It begins a survey, though, a process to survey the hospitals, to have in their annual hospital questionnaire, which they already do, a lot of information they give us as part of an annual hospital questionnaire. It just adds 3 questions that can be answered actually by their electronic health records vendor. Those 3 questions are, does your system offer free access for coordination of care, for HIPAA-compliant, confidential coordination of care? If it doesn't, can you tell us what the barriers are? And what's your timeline for offering this? We shouldn't put the burden of gathering this information on a patient when they're sick. Even if you're out of the hospital, you can still be very ill and make it very difficult for all this. We should get the advantage of those billions and subsidies that we all have given as taxpayers to make sure that patients' efforts are rewarded, and that we coordinate this information behind the scenes to expedite their care and do the best we can for Georgia patients. I'll be glad to yield for any questions.
Do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark in the gallery to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So what exactly are the House and Senate committees going to do with this survey? Because the bill states that it goes to these committees. What do they do once it gets to the General Assembly?
The effort, what we would like to look at is to begin to formulate, depending on what the answers to the barriers are and the timeline, maybe to begin to look at ways we can assist hospitals. We can assist them with the requirements for their records in the future if that's needed, just to open up whatever we can do, but without knowing what the barriers are from the electronic healthcare vendors, it's just difficult to even formulate a future plan.
Does the gentleman further yield?
Sure.
So is there not a study committee that goes along with this, and this will just be handled specifically by the Health and Human Services Committee in both chambers?
That's the start that's established in this bill, is to let those 2 committees have the report, have the information, and then hopefully begin to formulate a patient-friendly answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 697. The ayes are 172, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 693.
House Bill 693 by Representative Meeks, 178, to be entitled an act to amend Part 1B of Article 13 of Chapter 6 and Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to operation of a farm use vehicle so as to prohibit operation of farm tractors on interstate highways. This bill item referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Meeks to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you today House Bill 693. House Bill 693 is related to farm equipment on highways. As we begin planting season not far down the road, we'll see farm equipment moving around pretty frequently. What this bill does is it says to the operator of the farm equipment that as you're approaching oncoming traffic, get off on the right side of the road to allow traffic to safely pass. But also, Mr. Speaker, it provides that if a tractor or piece of farm equipment cannot exit the roadway to allow oncoming traffic to pass due to a bridge, a guardrail, or another impediment, that the oncoming traffic will yield to the farm equipment, allowing the farm equipment to safely pass the impediment and then move over to the right side of the road. There's nothing in this bill that relieves the operator of the tractor in operation to make sure that we are using safety precautions for all oncoming traffic and those persons on the highway. So nothing in this bill relieves the operator of that duty. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield for questions.
You have a question if you care to yield.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield.
It's from the chairman of the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee. Chair recognizes Chairman Dickey to your right.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for bringing this good bill. Could you tell our fellow members how wide an 8-row cotton picker is?
And they it's wide.
How wide is a road? Is it wider than our roadway?
It's wider than a roadway. A 6-row cotton picker is 38 feet wide.
Thank you.
Actually, it's 19 feet wide. The heads of the heads of a peanut combine is right at 19 feet. Lane of travel is 12, Mr. Chairman.
Do you further yield?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Always, when we have a traffic sort of bill, I get concerned when a member of the funeral home caucus wants to ask a question. But I'm going to recognize Representative Bentley to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Would this legislation impact the funeral industry? You know, when we're traveling in a procession and we're behind a tractor, will the driver of this tractor be able to pull to the side of the road to ensure that the funeral procession can continue to its destination?
Yes, ma'am. As all good farmers and tractor operators are, when they see a funeral procession in the area, they will immediately yield to the right-of-way to the funeral procession.
Thank you so much.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your positive consideration. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. Previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 693. The ayes are 173. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 383.
House Bill 383 by Representative Carson of the 46th, be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3, Chapter 5 of Title 50, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general authority, duties, and procedure relative to state purchasing. This bill having referred to the Committee on Government Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Carson to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Folks, we have a Anti-Bds Statute, and what that means is it basically protects our relationship with Israel. And what it says is that as a state, we're not going to do business with entities that support the BDS movement. And that is pro-Israel. In other words, the BDS boycott, divestment, and sanctions. What this bill basically does is basically clarifies the scope of what the intended statute was in regard to. It clarifies that we're going to protect our relationship with Israel because it's a compelling state interest. Our state as a whole trades with Israel in regard to agriculture, water desalinization, defense, disaster relief, health, and so forth. What this bill seeks to do is clarify Israel in regard to with Israel or organized under the laws of the state of Israel or licensed by Israel. And second, what this really does is it limits the scope of the statute to only contracts by the state with Israel for contracts $100,000 or more. As you know, in Title 50, that's the minimum for which a contract must be gone out for request for bid by the state. So what we've done is saying rather than contracts starting at 0, only contracts that start at $100,000 or more in value. And by doing this, what we're doing is preserving free speech rights. So this is taking out individuals and proprietorships and so forth, and we're really saying this is in regard to state contracting with corporations for contracts over $100,000 or more. This is endorsed and asked for by the American Jewish Committee. A vote for this bill is a vote to protect Israel, Israel's interests, and Georgia's relationship with our friends in Israel. I'll stand for a question, Mr. Speaker.
You have a few questions if you care to yield.
I'll take a question. I'm sure there's one or two others that wish to speak, so I'll take a question, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Dukes in room 341.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
I will.
I'm trying to get a certain level of clarity as to what this bill is requesting. Is it not true that you're saying that contracts with the state of Georgia, if it's over $100,000,
right,
that what triggers the state not contracting with an individual or firm over $100,000?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? What triggers not contracting?
Right. Because it seems as if contracts that's over $100,000 are subject to cancellation. What is it that triggers this cancellation?
Well, let me try to answer it this way, Representative Dukes. What this bill would do would limit the threshold to not any contract of any dollar value, but only contracts at $100,000 or more. In other words, we're not trying to limit the free speech of individuals and proprietorships for small various state contracts for, say, landscaping or other types of smaller level services. What we're trying to do is focus this on large contracts between corporations and the state of Georgia.
Would the gentleman further yield?
Yes.
Okay, I understand that, and I'm somewhat supportive of your measures.
Sure.
I'm asking for a certain level of clarity, and that is, if I have a contract with the state,
mm-hmm.
and I'm making $100,000 or more on it,
Right.
what is it that puts what is it that I have to do that would jeopardize me getting this contract? Or
What would
maintaining this
what would you
contract?
have to do to jeopardize this contract is to endorse and support the BDS movement against Israel. In other words, support the boycott, divestment, and sanctions against the state of Israel.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Speaker, I do hope that my colleagues can support the nation of Israel and Georgia's interests with her. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Representative Maynor rise?
Pursuant to Rule 133, I ask to be excused from this vote.
The lady has that right, and the journal will so reflect. What purpose does Representative Holly rise?
Pursuant to Rule 133, I ask to be excused from this vote.
Gentleman has that right, and the journal will so reflect. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 383. The ayes are 150, the nays are 18. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 144.
House Resolution 144 by Representative Williams, the 145th, a resolution honoring the life and memory of Miss Katie Poff and dedicating the intersection in her memory. This resolution has been referred to the Committee on Transportation. That committee recommends that this resolution be adopted by committee substitute.
There are very few ways that you look like Rick Williams to me. But I'll recognize you anyway. Chair recognizes Representative Brian Prince to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, House Resolution 144 is the House annual road and bridge dedication for this year. House Resolution 144 consists of 6 resolutions. An intersection on State Route 49 in Baldwin County in the honor of Catherine Poff. An interchange on State Route 81 in Barrow County in honor of Judy Hill Lofton. A bridge on State Route 515 in Gilmer County in honor of Cecil Matthews. A portion of State Route 8 in Gwinnett and Barrow County in honor of Jimmy Wilbank. A bridge on State Route 22 in Baldwin County in honor of Danita Oldham Jackson. And an intersection on US 27 in Chattooga County in honor of Judge John Payne. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has yielded the will. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Resolution 144. The ayes are 165, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 544.
House Bill 544 by Representative Powell, the 32nd, and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 27 and Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating the lottery for education so as to change the composition of the Board of Directors of the lottery. This bill having referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Powell to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. I bring to you this morning House Bill 544, and I think before I get into the nuts and bolts of this bill, I need to give you a little bit of history. For a lot of the members who aren't familiar with the COAM industry in the state, that's the coin-operated amusement machines. This has been a long-standing business practice in the state, and these are the game machines. And, you know, to know the history of it is quite interesting. These machines have been around since, I guess, since there were legal machines. And over the history of these things, they've sometimes got out of hand. And then the legislature comes in and we put them back into place. And when I say put them back into place, I'm talking about a lot of unscrupulous licensees who would try to pay out cash. Now, first and foremost, I want to make one point to you. We're not talking about gambling for the sake of money, because in the state of Georgia, gaming and gambling has always been defined as the paying out of cash money. And you know, people in Georgia have always liked to play these different games. But you've got two kinds of games. You got a Class A and you got a Class B. And the Class A is what we call the cranes and the ski balls and those kind. And the Class B machines are the ones that people play, and that's the ones where they can win points. And under Georgia law, they can trade those points in for merchandise in the store. They can trade for merchandise, they can trade them for lottery tickets and these type of things. Now, over the history of this industry, and I said a while ago, it's been kind of interesting, but we started regulating these machines around 1970 and started putting license fees and decal stickers on these machines to keep them under control so we could find them. And that happened even a little bit further in 1992. And in 1999, this was when we really had to crack down on a lot of unscrupulous folks, because law enforcement at that time really didn't want to do what they needed to do about stopping the paying out of cash. Then we rocked on along, and in 2013, we moved this whole industry, picked it up out of the Revenue Department and moved this whole industry to the Lottery Commission. And over at the Lottery Commission, that was when they progressively started doing a lot of things to promote these machines for the Georgia Lottery for Education Act, including a few years back that they plugged all of these machines up to a terminal that feeds the information back to the Georgia Lottery Commission. Now, a lot of times we hear a lot of talk about illegal payoffs, and you continue to see that every now and then, but I maintain that any of these folks that are that dumb that they would pay out cash and risk a lifetime prohibition and possible being charged as a felon, that these people lack a lot and shouldn't be in the business, and this is an area that we've tried to steer it to for years. You know, last year we heard talk about, in the committee, we heard talk last year about certain places down in middle Georgia that had machines, and they said they're paying out cash. Well, I said, you know, we need to know where these are. Well, lo and behold, you found out that these machines were in the back room of a location. They weren't hooked up. So that meant right off the bat that they were illegal, and those people could be charged with a felony. That's how serious it we've taken this industry over the years, because it brings in a lot of money to the Lottery Commission. As a matter of fact, the revenue from these machines, since it's one of the highest taxed areas of business in the state, these machines and the operators are taxed right at 17%. But even with that, the money that has come into the lottery this past year in 2020, it brought in $91 million in revenue and $11 million in fees for stickers and such as that. Now, the nature of this business is you have master license holders. These are the folks that furnish the machines, and then you have the retail license holders. They're the ones that have them in their locations. So you've got two different sides to that coin that are paying taxes and revenues. So what we have, ladies and gentlemen, is a situation that historically, this has been such a competitive business that we have to have certain rules and regulations over the Lottery Commission and hearing officers and judges and the such to be sure that this type of an industry continues to be highly regulated for the benefit of Georgia and for the benefit of the lottery. Then that brings us to this bill. It's been several years since the General Assembly had done an upgrade bill, but after consultation with the lottery and a lot of the people who are involved in this enterprise, and we brought to you today House Bill 544. And I'll give you a quick synopsis by the lines, but because of the interest in how much money this industry is bringing into the lottery, then after consultation with the second floor, we've decided that the COAM industry, one is that the governor could appoint one additional member to the lottery board who comes or has an interest or a knowledge of the COAM industry. Secondly, that the chairperson of the COAM advisory board, who the governor currently appoints, would also have a seat at that table for the Lottery Commission. This codifies existing case law that a lawful COAM is what it is, and that any criminal behavior is levied on the person who violates the law. Redemptions. The redemption language is clarified that if it's legal to purchase, then you can redeem for it. On the Class A machines, we put a cap at $50 on the merchandise that goes into these type of machines. We define non-cash gift cards. One of the things that we had decided that has been a boom would be for these merchants that are redeeming these type of points, that if they sell a gift card, and these are non-cash redeemable gift cards, no matter where they are, whether it's a Home Depot or a Walmart or a Longhorn or whatever, that they could actually redeem those. If they sell those gift cards in the store, then they can be redeemed for those. So it defines that, but it also defines a lottery gift card. Well, now let me tell you, we've been consulting the Lottery Oversight Committee, has met with the Lottery Commission, and we've been talking to them about doing a lottery gift card. This would be a loadable card that the lottery would make money on both ends of this. And this is what they've got a pilot program underway now that they've been working on for a while. And I think they have their lottery gift cards in 198 locations as they're moving forward with that. So in this bill, these are the locations they can redeem for gift cards, but on July 1st of 2022, then those gift cards go away and the lottery gift card goes into effect. This provides for on-site inspection by the Georgia Lottery Commission's COAM division within 6 months of operation of a new location for compliance review. This clarifies the law that receipts of a gift card is an act for an in-store redemption. It ensures the contractual rights are protected once parties are committed to an agreement. This is between the master licensees and the retailers. Late fees for Class A and B are absolutely set in stone for what it is a late fee for a retailer or master licensee that fails to renew their licenses on time. It ensures for open market, a competitive market, if there is any forfeiture. And this means that that license or that the machines or whatever it may be, that they would be subject to public auction, not a backroom auction by any individual over the Lottery Commission or otherwise, or a holder or some of the folks that we've run into situations where private attorneys are being hired by DAs as privateers. This clarifies that there'd have to be a public auction of any of these assets. It sets the appellate review standard so that after the GLC clarifies and there's an appeal, then it can go to the superior courts after 30 days. The 50-50 rule. Currently, and one of the things that we changed, I think it was probably in the early 2000s, was that locations could only have up to 9 machines in a location. But we also stated at that time that these locations, they had to have 50% of the merchandise or the gross receipts had to come from sales other than what came in off of these machines. And this is what we set up based on a quarterly system. We did a carve out for charitable organizations. One of the things that fell victim back 25 or so years ago, 20 to 25 years ago, was your charitable organizations, your American Legions, your VFWs, your AMVETs, these type of organizations, because these places didn't sell merchandise, so they couldn't meet the 50% rule. So we have done a carve out for these locations for these charitable organizations. And the criteria for that is they have either got to have a bingo license today, have been in business for 10 years, and be a 501c3 organization. One of the things to remember is that those locations in any machines, that they're also plugged into the lottery terminal so that the lottery can oversight what they do. This would be a big boom to those charitable organizations. Burden of proof is on the COAM division in assessing violations. Provides that existing contracts remain in place as long as they're being utilized at the facility. It reinforces the fact that inducements cannot be given or received between the master license and the retailer. Digital signage can be provided inside under limited guidelines of the COAM Advisory Commission. The Georgia Administrative Procedures Act would cover all rules for licensure. COAM Advisory Board could adopt rules in accordance to the Georgia Administrative Procedures Act. It sets it, as I said earlier, it sets July the 1st of 2022 or sooner for the creation of the lottery gift card. Addresses hearing concerns in the appeal processes, and says that if there is an appellate and that appellate loses a decision on a rules violation, that all of the money would go to the Lottery Commission. And then finally, that arbitration would be clarified, and after arbitration, it could go to the business courts in Superior Court in Fulton County. I would submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a good bill. It's a long time coming. It's interesting that to me that in the real world of what's going on, there are still some of the master license holders and possibly some retailers they don't want this tighter level of scrutiny. We heard some of them. We saw a bill that was dropped in over in the Senate, and to the embarrassment, I understand, of one of the members, when they found out that that bill actually had a niche that would open up for cash payouts, which would be illegal, then it was quickly killed in the committee. We've had several of the companies, we understand a couple, not several, but a couple of companies that have very much problem that they'd like to have a monopoly on the issuance and the contracts between the master license holder and the operators themselves. That's not correct. And last but not least, you know, there was a substitute that was proposed somewhere along the way that there had been no discussions, and that's about raising the fees. Right now, the fees to these machines, that the master license holder gets 45% of the revenue because they buy the machines, they furnish the machines, and the retailer gets 45% because they provide the labor and the locations. So it's a 45-45 split. The Georgia Lottery Commission receives 10% and has absolutely no investment, no money involved. They get a 10% rake off the top. That's a pretty good deal for the Lottery Commission, because in the administrative fees, they're the ones that are actually doing the regulatory procedures. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what this bill does, and I'll be glad to stand for some questions, Mr. Speaker.
Well, you have several.
Yes, sir, no doubt.
Chair recognizes Representative Carpenter to your right for a question.
Yes, sir.
Does the chairman yield?
Certainly.
Is it not true that this bill will give consumers options to spend their winnings?
It will.
Is it also not true that this would give even more security to this industry that many people don't believe secure?
One of the things, I go back to what I'd said earlier, that one of the things that we need to be absolutely certain that we have hemmed up any avenue for the illegal paying out of cash. By going to the gift card, then that gives that merchant options and that player options, and anybody, quite frankly, would have to be dumb as mud to pay out cash.
And one final question.
Yes, sir.
Will this finally allow me to win something of value when I'm playing skee ball?
Well, you can win lottery tickets, or you could, if you win enough points playing skee ball, you could probably go to Home Depot and buy you a cooking set.
Chair recognizes Representative Al Williams to your left for a question.
Yes, sir.
Will the gentleman in the bill yield?
Yes, sir.
Two things. First, you said they'd have to be dumb as mud. Is that not true?
If they get caught paying out cash, or even enticed to do such a thing.
Well, is it not true then? I know a lot of mud. I've seen a few muds get caught. But what I really realize the gentleman will further yield.
Yes, sir.
Are you absolutely certain that you have explained everything in this bill, or do I need to wait a while longer?
I've explained everything.
Can I answer that for him?
But to my good friend from the coast, if you got something specific, if you'll ask it, I'll be glad to dig it out.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark up in the gallery to your left for a question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so can these lottery gift cards have a Visa or Mastercard logo affixed to them?
Not that I know of. Right now, the first cards that would be eligible would be gift cards that are sold, which would be that, I'm sure there's some 20 different cards. I've seen them in C-stores, Home Depot, Walmart, Longhorn cards and those kind. Those kind of cards. And then when the lottery gift card, when they institute that, hopefully within a year, that was what they call a legacy card that is downloaded on one end and spent on the other. And that is where the lottery would get money coming both ways.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
No
ma'am.
further questions.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I would certainly encourage you to vote for this bill. You know, these machines are there. They raise money for the state of Georgia for the lottery, and this tightens up all of the control, and I would ask you to reject any amendments. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. Oh, I'm sorry. We had two people who wanted to speak on the bill. Chair recognizes Representative Stacey Evans to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Up until about 30 minutes ago, I was planning to come to the well and ask you to vote no against this bill. But I've had some conversations with Dean Smyrie and some folks that are committed to working to make this bill better in the Senate. And because of those concessions and commitments to me, I'm here to ask you to please vote yes, and let's move this bill to the Senate. This industry is an ill. It just is. It attracts things that we don't want in our communities. It's a very addictive form of gambling, for lack of a better word. I know folks want to pretend like it's not gambling, but it is. If you took a heat map of gas stations in your communities that have these machines, you're going to see lots of red dots of crime. But here in this state, just like with the lottery, with COAMs, we're willing to accept the ill if we get a benefit for our citizens. And that has been, thus far, payments into the Lottery for Education Fund. The COAM industry pays 10% of their earnings to the Lottery for Education Fund. They are coming to us in this bill, House Bill 554, and asking us for a lot, particularly asking us for the ability to give a gift card, which will make those games much more enticing to the people that want to play them. So people are going to play more, they're going to make more money. It is my belief that if they are going to make more money, then we, on behalf of Georgians, need to make more money, and that percentage into the Lottery for Education Fund needs to go up. I think it needs to go up to 20%, at the very least 15%. But I have commitment to at least work on increasing it 2% over the 2 years following implementation of this new gift card program, and then we agree to come back and look at it. And it would be my intention at that point that we increase it a lot, but there have been conversations about how perhaps if we go too much too fast that it will lower the overall return to the Lottery for Education Fund, which obviously is something I don't want. I think that's a good compromise, which is why I'm here today asking you to move this bill forward. But please know, if that doesn't happen in the Senate, I will be the first one up here, because why should we give away something for nothing? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.
Do you yield for a question?
I will.
Chair recognizes Dean Smyrie to your left for a question.
Does the lady yield?
Yes.
You mentioned the 5 and 10, but you didn't mention what would be derived from the increase in percentage. So 5% would be somewhere around
45 million.
45 million, and 10% would be somewhere like 90 to 100 million. Is that correct?
Yes, Dean, and thank you. Percentages are one thing, but when you put hard dollars for it, it means quite another. This industry, I will just recap, $3 billion played into these machines a year. 2.1 billion taking out as winnings. 900 million for the industry, of which we got 10%, 90 million. So if we increase that 5%, that's another 45 million. If we increase it 10%, that's 90 million. $900 million this industry made, and we made 90. Again, let's make sure we're not giving away something for nothing. I would be willing to yield for more questions if there are any, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Paris up in the gallery to your right for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentlelady yield?
Yes.
Do you not agree that this is a tremendous drain on communities of color?
I do.
And furthermore, would you further yield?
Yes.
That in Bibb County alone, in the month of August, COAM machines yielded $4.5 million. I thank you for bringing these points to our attention, because it's very important. The state should be making more money on this operation. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Representative.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Lady has yielded the well. Chair recognizes Representative Dukes to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the members, the honorable men and women of this august body. I am a member of the caucus of the believers. You know who you are. And in that caucus, we really don't do much gambling. But in the state of Georgia, we decided that we would acquiesce on behalf of the children of the state of Georgia. I remember when Zia brought the lottery, I was a trustee trying to make deacon. And I knew it was going to be difficult for me to do that supporting the lottery. But I acquiesced it because I knew the children of the Georgia needed hope. My biggest concern with this bill is that we are giving people the right in acquiescing to gambling, and we are getting 10% of the deal. Now, with the Georgia lottery, we get about 25% of the deal. So if we are going to give people an opportunity to come in this state and do that which I do have a concern with, you got to give me more money. I have to have more of the take for the on behalf of the children of the state of Georgia. 10% is grossly too low for us to give anybody the right to come in Georgia and gamble. Now, I know a lot of people are in support of that. I can appreciate that. But let us not give away this right to people coming here making $90 million a year. And the children of our state are being shortchanged. Mr. Speaker, I was going to put it in the form of a question, but I know we only do two, so I had to come down and speak on it. If there is no questions.
You have a question if you care to yield.
Mr. Speaker, I would be honored.
I'm sorry?
I would be honored.
Chair recognizes Representative Al Williams to your left for a question.
Yes, sir.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
I was truly moved to learn that you were a believer. As there was a lot of questions Representative Jackson and I had, but were it not outside of the rules of this august chamber, I would come and lay hands on you.
Well, Mr. Representative, I appreciate the thought, but if somebody's going to lay hands on me, I'd rather for it to be Jackson. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there's no further question, the gentleman from Albany yields the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 544. The ayes are 110, the nays are 54. This bill having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 346.
House Bill 346 by Representative LaRicchia, the 169th, to be titled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 11 and Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to emergency medical services personnel. This bill then referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative LaRicchia to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I rise to present House Bill 346, and before I do, I just want to say thank you to Madam Chair Cooper and Representative Sharper and the other members of the Health and Human Service Committee. They really steered me in the right direction on this, what looks like a simple piece of legislation, but it is not. This is narrowly drafted to help individuals with congenital adrenal hyperplasia, which is a rare disease that only impacts about 1 in 20,000. These individuals with CAH have to always be mindful that their body does not respond to injury and sickness the way that ours does. Their bodies will literally go into shock with just the simplest injury. And what this bill does, it defines congenital adrenal hyperplasia. It defines the emergency medical services and that paramedics only can do this. But these individuals have to carry their medication with them every day, all day, 24 hours a day, and it's a life-saving drug. This allows paramedics, when they respond to one of these people with CAH, it allows them to give an intramuscular shot of that Solu-Cortef to save their life if it goes into adrenal crisis. And so, Mr. Speaker, that's simply what this bill does, is allow paramedics to administer that shot. I'd be glad to take questions if there are any.
You have one question.
I'll yield.
Two questions.
I'll yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Sharper up in the gallery to your left for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely, to my friend.
Is it true that we worked very hard on this bill and make sure we had the proper language that will make a smooth transition for the paramedics and also the patients and their families in this bill? And is it true that I 100% support this bill and would wish everybody would give us their support?
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for your input and work on this.
Do you take another question?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hawkins to your right for a question.
Gentleman yield.
Yes, sir, to my friend.
Is it true that acute adrenal crisis can be fatal to an infant?
Absolutely.
Does the gentleman further yield?
Yes, sir.
That the only side effect of this drug are headaches and digestive problems?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Mr. Speaker, I will yield the will and ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 346. The ayes are 172, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 204.
House Resolution 204 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd and others, a resolution recognizing Judge Willie J. Lovett, Jr. and dedicating a building in his memory. This resolution has been referred to the Committee on State Properties. That committee recommends this resolution be adopted.
Chair recognizes Representative Gilliard to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members of this distinguished body. I rise to pay homage to the late Judge Willie Levette Jr. On last year, we had an opportunity in committee to get this passed to rename the Savannah Regional Detention Center after this great hero. Not only was a judge, but he advocated for young people. He gave out scholarships. He pulled himself up from the community to Harvard University and practiced law in Atlanta, Georgia. And so it is fitting that the chief judges of juvenile court, that Commissioner Tyrone Oliver of Juvenile Justice Department saw fit that they had no disagreement of fairly naming this great opportunity to rename the RDC as the Judge Willie Levette Jr. Juvenile Justice Center. Mr. Speaker, members of this distinguished body, I ask for your favorable consideration on House Resolution 204.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the adoption of House Resolution 204. The ayes are 171, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 24.
House Resolution 24 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, a resolution compensating Dominic Brian Lucci. This resolution had been referred to the Committee on Appropriations. That committee recommends that this resolution be adopted.
Chair recognizes Representative Mallow to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, this resolution was passed by this body by my predecessor, the Honorable J. Craig Gordon, in the last session, and due to COVID-19, this resolution, along with the other two, died in the Senate. These resolutions are simply to compensate individuals who spent 25 years of their life in prison for a murder that they did not commit. They were exonerated because the individual who gave the eyewitness testimony recanted that testimony, as well as what's known as the Yamacraw report was not provided to the prosecution did not provide that evidence to the defense, and so this case has been absolved, and these gentlemen have given 25 years of their life. They were veterans, and now they've been left destitute, and so I ask for your favorable consideration on these resolutions this morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
You have no questions.
I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the adoption of House Resolution 24. The ayes are 154, the nays are 12. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes the chairman of the Majority Caucus for an announcement. Chairman Hatchett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Majority Caucus will meet upon recess for lunch in room 341.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the House Rules Committee, Chairman Smith, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Rules Committee will meet at 1:45. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chair of the Minority Caucus, Chairman Mitchell, for an announcement.
The Minority Caucus will meet this afternoon at 12:45. There will be lunch in room 216. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, we're about to have a recess for lunch, but I need all those members who have been assigned a tablet to turn those in to the clerk's office personnel nearest to you so they may be recharged for the rest of the proceedings today. They're going to need it. House will stand in recess for lunch until 2 p.m.